Hi, good evening, and welcome to yet another week of this, the Minority Report programming. My name is Marlon David, and it's indeed a pleasure for us to be with you again another week to bring the facts, to bring the conversations, and to bring the information that we deem necessary for the public awareness and education of those of us in Tobago and Trinidad and Tobago. This evening we have quite an interesting program. However, before we get into it, I want us to share the link. The information as is that you can view this program on the Tobago Updates website, the Tobago Updates YouTube channel and YouTube page, or the one that most persons frequent is the Tobago Updates Facebook page. Interestingly enough, we are also being broadcasted on M&E TV. So folks, there are a number of platforms that you can log on to so that we can have this interaction and these conversations that we deem necessary. If you're interested in sending us some information, questions, comments, even your recommendations, you can also do so by using the WhatsApp number 284-6597. That's 284-6597. Who knows? I think tonight, based on what the director said, is that we may be able to open the lines for a few phone calls from persons who might be willing to call and contribute on the program or to raise a particular issue. So this evening we're going to have a very stirring program, and our guest in studio, we're going to light up the place as we often say. So we're going to go for a short break. And when we get back, we're going to get right into this evening's program. And the director will put our title for this evening's program up on the screen shortly so we can all be prepared. So stay locked on, and we'll be right back.
Was a while before Christmas, and all through the land, people was putting away house with very little money in hand. They was painting and cleaning and doing their chores, but I went to hunt for deals at American stores. Deals on living and dining room sets, on fridges and stoves, beds and cabinets, on washers and dryers, small appliances cheap, even TVs and stereos, prices just can't be beat. So let's Christmas together at American stores. After all, what they tell me, anything could be yours.
Anything can be yours at American stores.
Spartans! What is your profession?
I Walk with Pastor is looking for 300 mighty men of valor. We stand in support of our men from all facets of society. On a Sunday, 20th November from 5:30 a.m., we walk for 6 kilometers. That is from the Shore Park Hard Court to Orkinskio and back. Flex those muscles in the Macho Man competition and cool down with aerobics. Lots of prizes in store, so sign up at the Esplanade on Monday 14th and Thursday 17th of November from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. 2-for-1 t-shirt special for all males signing up. Registration costs only $20. Whether you walk, ride or run, let's support these mighty men of valor. Sunday 20th November 2022. Let's do this.
Laborers in the Vineyard presents its 20th Conference 2022. Theme: Apostolic Prophetic Deliverance. On November 10th to the 12th, 2022. Thursday and Friday, 6:30 p.m. On Saturday, 9:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. and 3:30 p.m. to 5:50 p.m. Venue: Sharper Complex, Tobago, 2nd floor. Registration: $100 per person, $150 with manual. All midwives, come and be refreshed. Speaker, Apostle Vivian Duncan from Divine Destiny, Trinidad. Host, Pastor Patricia Venus Henry, Tobago. For more info, call Tobago 1-868-781-3467 or 635-1196.
I'm Roxanne Hepburn, the Managing Director of La Marche Parfait d'Espa. And now guess what? We're in Tobago and we are so excited to serve Tobago. La Marche Parfait d'Espa Tobago will be open to the public from Monday the 5th. Some of the services that you can access will be infrared body steam, spa parties, body treatments, massages, pedicures, manicures, waxing, carbiation, radio, and lipo slimming and cellulite wrap treatment. We are located at number 1 Main Road, Barrington's Court, Bonaccord Village.
And we are back, the Minority Report, and joining me in studio this evening, none other than after the lives I've been seeing going up and the comments and the support, I have to change the titles that I use here. But we have the Minority Leader, Assemblyman Kelvin Morris, in studio with us tonight again. On fire today, I must say. I don't know, in all this rain in Trinidad and Tobago, the place was hot this morning, and a lot of support and love coming in from members of the public. Kelvin, welcome.
Good evening, Mr. David. Good evening to my loyal supporters, or viewers, Dr. all over the world.
Nicely, nicely. Let me say, we do not have the Minority Councillor with us here this evening, but she is definitely with us in spirit. A little under the weather, but definitely up and supporting. I want to say good night to her because I know she's logged on. She's watching. You know, we miss you this week. You know, and folks, we want to get right into the program this evening. Let's not forget the WhatsApp number 284-6597, because I suspect that a lot of persons would want to comment on some of the things we're saying, and if it's possible, we may even open the lines to hear some of you and the things that you want to say. Normally we have our what's good moment before we get into the real meat of the matter. The only thing I want to highlight tonight is that I want to wish the administration congratulations for an award at the World Trade Market, where they went and presented exactly the PNM plan, exactly the PNM policy, exactly the PNM roadmap, and yet again won an award. That's great.
Well, the thing is, I want to congratulate Tobago, because this award was specific to Tobago's natural beauty. As you see, the award says most desirable island, and we all know of Tobago's amazing beauty, all the various attractions that comes naturally with Tobago as a destination and as an island. And I really want to congratulate also the resilience of the stakeholders who even coming out of a pandemic would have ensured they did what they had to do to make sure Tobago stayed front of mind. And even the past leadership of the Tobago Tourism Agency Limited, that I'm speaking specific to persons like Mr. Louis Lewis and his team, as well as the former chairman, Dr. Sherma Roberts and her team as well, because it is the actions they took that would have ensured that we had the kind of presence globally. And that's why Tobago continues to be recognized. And you would know this is not the first award of this kind, recognizing, you know, Tobago's presence in the tourism market. You know, one of the challenges I have though, Marilyn, and it's all good when we get the awards, but one of the challenges I have with this current administration when it comes to tourism in particular is that you're not seeing the kind of actions to actually bring people to Ireland. And I'm curious at this time to find out what is really going on with the cruise sector. We were promised that by the end of October we would have had cruise arrivals, and up to this point we have had 0. And I am asking the Secretary of Tourism to tell us what is going on with cruise. Is there any, normally you would have a rep out there who is liaising with the cruise industry, ensuring that you have calls. Do we have any rep at this time? Tell us, Secretary, because we are kind of curious. The stakeholders are also curious. The taxis, the maxi taxis and those persons are curious as to what is really going on. By now they would have been earning precious foreign exchange and that kind of thing, and nothing is happening.
So literally what we're seeing, and we can say, is that persons are now wary of the window dressing. Because we're hearing, and I want to quote something you said today in your live. You used that term that your economics teacher used to say, the flowery words.
Flowery words.
I laughed when I heard it. Flowery words and a lot of photos and these kind of things.
And a lot of lip service as well. And we have to ask ourselves the hard questions going forward. A year later, are we better off? Where are we? What is the real tangible achievements outside of all the fetting and the what enticements? And we have to ask ourselves as individuals and as Tobagonians, is the island better off a year later? Because we are approaching a year of this administration, and I really want to coin tonight's reflections, tonight's discussion, one of us feeling the pain. And I'm saying feeling the pain when I look at some of the comments coming out of the Carnival. I'm saying feeling the pain when I look at what is happening with our THA workers, URP workers, our poor, working poor, the lowest on the pay grade of the THA. These persons not being paid on time. I'm saying feeling the pain when I saw a single mother who was attached to the CPEP program on Facebook crying out about, being unemployed at this time because they were just, their contracts, bona fide contracts, 3-year contracts, they were just terminated without any kind of compensation, and they have other entitlements that they're not even getting. When I say feeling the pain, I'm talking about our Tobago-based contractors and the average contractors who felt that they would get an opportunity at this time, seeing all the work being carted off, heist, given away to places outside and persons outside of Tobago.
I love the terms you use there.
Yeah, and I'm saying feeling the pain when you think about young professionals who believed that this administration, and most of them young professionals themselves, would create opportunities so that they would be able to contribute to island development. And these young professionals are home without any kind of hope of getting a job. And this is why I want to entitle this evening's discourse, Feeling the Pain.
And rightly so. As we get into the discussion, I want the director to play a clip, because it's important that we always remember what was said and what Tobagonians were guaranteed what was put on the table, what was promised. And so I want us to play that particular clip with the then representative for the Palativia Lansumi Speyside seat as he was campaigning for the Chief Secretary candidate position, as it was termed. And let's hear what it is would have been said in that clip. Mr. Director.
How would you allay the fears of individuals who are currently employed on contract under the present administration if they decide to choose the PDP as their party of choice? Now let me tell you something, you don't have to fear the PNM losing election, because one of the things I will do as Chief Secretary is ensure that you don't lose your job because a PNM person will give you a contract. That's not how it's going to work with me at all. You are Tobagonian first and foremost. And on an island with 60,000 or less people, we don't have enough people to actually live on the island and do the kind of work we want to do on the island. So it makes no sense alienating people.
Even the bottle knew he was lying. And I say that very plainly. Even the bottle, the elements, the atmosphere knew that that was not a truthful statement. Because here we have, yet again, a promise to the people of Tobago. You do not have to fear. And Minority Leader, I want to say this. In my movings around, during the day, sometimes interacting with persons in different divisions and so on. When you go into certain divisions, there is a tense, kind of heavy apprehension and a sort of anticipation, and persons are not even functioning. I spoke to a very senior official in one division 2 days ago, and they said that the reality is staff are literally in fear because they don't know if this month is going to be the last. They don't know when they get memos circulating, people are afraid to open the memo because they don't know what is coming next. And as you said, the pain is widespread. The pain is starting with this fear.
Well, Mr. David, the facts are that people are being victimized, and Tobagonians, and everything that this administration promised and told Tobagonians not to fear, we are seeing that they are actually turning around and doing those very things to Tobagonians. So you would have told THA workers not to fear, you have no problem worrying about your employment. And what we have seen so far is over 250 Tobagonians directly terminated by this administration, and Tobagonians who had contracts, Tobagonians who were qualified, Tobagonians who were doing the work. And more than that, we are also seeing now as a policy that persons are being sent home, and when their period of engagement is completed, they are not being called out back. So persons now are home for 2 months waiting on a call, and they're being told by the divisions and the secretaries, do not come out unless you are called. And persons are even being asked and threatened in some instances with respect to their political affiliation, which has never happened before. So this is really untenable at this time. Workers of the THA, and you're right, are basically going to work in fear.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, this is not a joking matter, and for those viewers and listeners to the program, this is not political. We're not making this about politics. This is about people's lives. This is about the persons who, and a young lady spoke to me recently, and you could see the pain because both she and her husband were sent home from 2 different divisions, and they have 2 children at school, and her cry and fear was, what are we supposed to do? It's not even that these people are doing the research so they know. How could you send home the 2 breadwinners in a single household and with no recourse, no...
And I want to say this, because people may very well believe we are coming here just to spew political rhetoric and so forth. I've taken, and we have taken, the position that we will always speak on behalf of Tobagonians. We would represent the positions of Tobagonians. So if there are good things, we will give commentation, and where there are challenges, we will speak up. And one of the things that is undisputable is that Tobagonians have been terminated by this administration, and Tobagonians who held no political positions. So the CPEP, the entire monthly paid staff of CPEP was sent home, and they are still yet to justify in a real and meaningful way what was the reason for the, what they call it, the restructuring.
Restructuring.
And you had a commitment where the Chief Secretary was on record as saying those persons who would have reapplied and were unsuccessful, they would be re-employed and redeployed.
Yeah.
I'm asking the question, they have done this restructuring, they sent home the CPEP workers sometime around June. We are now in November with Christmas coming, and you're talking about over a staff of 45 persons. We are talking about young women, in many cases single mothers, and at this point you have not re-engaged, you have not re-employed, you have not redeployed. You have all these persons still at home waiting, hoping, not knowing where their next meal is coming from. And that is why Tobagonians are seriously, genuinely feeling the pain. For those who are playing party politics and don't want to understand and don't want to appreciate the pain and believe that Farley going out there at WTM and cannot even tell us whether he has gotten one new flight, one new investment for Tobago. You haven't heard no major announcement outside of the award, which we welcome. It has been less than, this trip has been, is an empty trip. He's coming home back with his empty hands. Nothing for us to write home about. There's nothing tangible that Tobago can say they have received from the Chief Secretary going to WTM and returning. We haven't heard, okay, is it that we have added as a destination, we are now going to have 2 new routes or 2 new airlines? Is it that we were able to secure a major hotel investment? The hotel announcement that he made was something in train since 2019 that was stalled because of the pandemic. So it's nothing about Farley going to WTM. So to those who believe that we can ignore the pain that Tobagonians are feeling because we like the individual or we like the party, it cannot be about party, and you have your people, your average Tobagonian telling you, I am suffering. Things are tough. I've lost my job under the hands of Farley's policy.
And Minority Leader, I want to, we've been speaking a bit here about those who would have been terminated. And yes, we know that their situation is dire. But what has surfaced now in a real sense is we have a crisis in terms of salaries being unpaid. And I want to pull up a message that would have been sent to you. And when I'm finished reading this message, I want us to run a clip of a short live you did a couple of days ago. I'll ask the director to pull the WhatsApp message up for us. Folks, this was sent on the 27th of October, so this isn't even yesterday or day before yesterday. And it says, Mr. Morris, URP workers are not receiving their salary. Could you highlight that in the House, please? And you responded, I will do that. Thank you. Then today, so the first one came on the 27th of October. Then today, the same person, can you please call out the THA on the issue of workers not being paid, specifically Works Division? And they call the secretary name, Trevor James. URP workers still haven't received their salaries. A fellow worker reached out to me this morning, frustrated and depressed because rent is due, children to go to school, etc., and no money. So we have a real issue, and you responded by putting something out on Tuesday. I want the public to hear that, so I'll ask the director to just run that clip as well for us.
Yes. Okay. Now, this is nonsense. I will definitely take it up. Alright. My fellow Tobagonians, as minority leader, I'm being inundated with calls from average Tobagonians, our URP workers, CPEP workers, daily paid workers from across the THA. And they are complaining to me and letting me know that at this point they are not being paid their salaries on time. In some instances, they are going 2 fortnights, 3 fortnights without pay. How could this be fair to our average Tobagonians who have to find money to feed their families? And when you put this in consideration and comparison to the fact that we just paid over $17.5 million to host a carnival, we have a stage out in the sea going to nowhere that up to now we don't even know who is the contractor, how much money was paid. We are paying $19.5 million for a road that is about 100 meters long and giving over $54 million to a gentleman who is on record as referring to a reporter as a Negro reporter. Come on, Tobago. We voted for better than this, and we must call out this administration. This cannot be right. Our families are hurting. People are suffering. Come on, Farley and friends, do better and pay our workers now. Tobago, let's fix this.
I at one point in time when I listened to this about a dozen times, and at a point in time I felt as if tears would have run out your eyes because this is such a serious, and this was on Tuesday, and I know you've been bombarded with calls even more so since then, and a lot of the things that you identified there, how can we be spending that kind of money and cannot satisfy workers' salaries?
You know,
I'm at a loss.
And you know, for me, it's never about me, but I would tell you this: the reason why this hurts and it's so dear to me is because I remember when I was a little boy, and this put me back to the time during about 1996 or so, and. I don't know if Tobagonians recall that time, but we were going through a lot of tough times. And I remember my father was a laborer. They were working usually fortnightly, and then they put them on 5 days on and 5 days off. And I remember having to go, you know, many days we couldn't get food and that kind of thing. And now when I saw this, when I'm seeing these kind of messages coming in where persons are being paid, their families can't get food, they can't pay their rent. Marlon, we are in 2022, and we would have come a long way from 1996. And to see we have gone back to that time where it is more the norm. It's more the norm than an exception now, because it's almost every week I'm getting somebody telling me, we didn't get paid. We get paid late. We're not getting the pay that we expected. This, and you have to ask yourself, what is really going on? What is happening? And these are average Tobagonians, I keep saying the word because these are poor people. These are people who live paycheck to paycheck, depend on their salary.
I even saw someone, a friend of mine at the bank, say that, and someone even at the credit union, say that it hurt them so much to see certain people coming every day and checking in the machine.
Yeah.
Because there's an expectation that, listen, probably is today. And they say the disappointment, they are inside and looking. And they're saying that in one instance, she had to get up and go outside and talk to somebody to comfort them.
And you know what is also disheartening is that these are already persons paid the least, and they are being paid last. While you have the politicians, these secretaries, they are being paid big fat checks. They are about getting the highest pay in the THA, and they get their pay first. They are almost guaranteed by midnight. Their salaries are already in the bank, guaranteed. In fact, one person messaged me and tell me they're so bold-faced, even in the credit union where funds may go, they are there harassing the credit union people for their monies. But these ordinary workers, these poor people, can't get their pay, and it seems like it's no big. That's what it's like. No big deal. Like, you know, like they're not concerned.
Yeah.
There's no concern to fix it.
People still traveling as normal, and
people traveling, leaving here for what I don't know. Imagine one secretary go Colombia to see houses, go on Jamaica to see more houses. And I'm asking the question, and I'm going to bring it to Tobago one of these days. In terms of, because while we feeling the pain, some people are living happy. While we are sucking salt, some people eating sweet bread. And while we dealing with bread and butter issues, some people with a knife and fork.
Yeah.
And one of the things you have to look at Tobago with these traveling, because it seems as if it is a big business for these secretaries. They have now recognized that every time you go away, because I'll tell you, I used to do the note for the former secretary, so I have an idea of what the circular gives. When you go outside, you get something called a daily allowance, which is about $205 US. So if you translate that, that is $1,400 TT.
Okay.
And then on top of that, you get something called a per diem, which covers like your hotel and also traveling allowance. That is mixed up in the per diem, and you get something like about $375 US. So that is almost another $2,400 or $2,800. And if you go out for a long period like 10 days, you could end up with something like $20,000, because, and you're not staying, you may not stay in a hotel that costs $375. You may stay in one that costs $100. So you're saving $220. And for some people, because they recognize the value in that, they are looking for places to travel left, right, and center while you remain hungry. And that is why they don't care. Because their pockets are being filled while yours remain empty. And that is the truth. And so when you see them flying up and down the place, it's not because they really care to go and do anything for you. They could do this over a phone call. But it is lucrative.
But what is ironic in this whole situation, and I'm glad that you brought that to light, because I want to assure the people of Tobago that we definitely going to bring some light and shed some light further on the issue of travel and so forth. But what is ironic about this minority leader is that this is an administration that campaigned on the premise that they know what needs to be done. They knew how to fix, quote unquote, this, whatever they consider this to be. Isn't it strange that now, in office, the justification for a lot of the travel is to go and consult with other persons, to see a model, to see how they do houses here, to see how the education system works in Curacao, to see how, you understand what I'm saying? So again, they fool the people of Tobago, because What they said up front is that give us the job, we know what to do. But now it's costing the people of Tobago millions of dollars for them to go to find out what to do to come back, to do it. And I mean, this is amazing to me, and Tobagonians are crying out because, as you rightfully said, and I can even tally, just for them to send their political leader in the days of when they were in love still, over a few months on the trips that he would have made Dubai and to the US and so on, it cost upward of $240,000, you know. Just in those two, per diem and the daily upward of $240,000.
You're correct. And the thing is as well, which we're not figuring in at this point, but when you consider, when you're going to Europe, there's nothing as business class, so it's first class. So sometimes a first class ticket would cost you almost $80,000. You understand? So we are not saying you won't travel at times, you won't go out to, bring back investments and those. There will be opportunities, but when you see the frequency at which these secretaries have been traveling overseas, you have to ask yourself the question whether it's value for money, whether it's really worth it, whether it's something that the secretary had to be in.
Exactly.
And you would recognize that in some cases, you really didn't have to travel. But I'm saying, at this point, I am of the opinion that these travels are not just simply to go and do the business of state, but it's an opportunity for them to earn an extra income. You understand? So, and we, for instance, and I'm saying something as a housing program, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We have a database with over, and we're talking about feeling the pain. Tobagonians, yes, they want to own their own home. Some would prefer they have just the land and they would build to their liking. And then there are some who would accept a ready-made house. And there are some, because we have a database of over 10,000 persons, we have persons, once we go through that database, we can pre-qualify them into different strata. So you can have there are persons who would be able to qualify for a mortgage over $1 million. There will be some persons who may fit into the 500,000 to a million. And then you would have your low income home owners who you would now have to subsidize in a particular way. And you can now go about a housing program that treats with all these different categories of persons. You can even have a category specifically just for young professionals. And you especially, like if you have your category over 1 million already pre-qualified by the bank, what you would do now is bring in developers who can build the homes. You have the lands where you leverage the lands, and the homeowner comes in, they purchase the house, and you as the landowner, you as the THA would take out what you quantify as the value of your lands. The developer would go for what he quantifies as the building of the home, and everybody goes away a winner. So I don't see why we have to be Jamaica of all places. If you're looking at Jamaica, then you can look at Trinidad. And it also brings us back to the question of why we are dancing abroad before we dance a yard. Because we saw it with the Carnival.
Yes.
We had a contingent. I would say we wasted over $350,000 hoodwinking Tobagonians to believe that we were going out there on some fact-finding mission, when it was really a joyride.
Yes.
Because I saw one gentleman who was part of the delegation saying, up to now, the man said he went with his steel pan. He went with his songs. And up to now, he ain't hit a stage. He ain't beat one beat on his steel pan. And he ain't sing one song on no stage. So then you have to ask the question, what was the $350,000 spent for? Why did we go on that trip? They promised us a number of visitors from Grenada. How many visitors came to Tobago from Grenada?
I heard 13.
And how many of those 13 we paid for to come?
I heard all.
Tobago.
And I'm glad that you touched on that Carnival conversation, because all this is feeling the pain. And we know that the Carnival has come and gone, and for all intents and purposes, people will enjoy themselves. Once you have music, you have things to eat and drink. We have a culture that forget all your problems for today and tomorrow. Come out and we'll enjoy ourselves. But our stakeholders, not happy. And I pulled a particular clip from a stakeholder who, after the Carnival was ended, decided to let his voice be heard. And I want us to listen to that tonight, because we are talking about feeling the pain, and different stratas throughout the society are now voicing and coming out and saying. So I'll ask the director to run that Carnival clip from that young man.
Good morning, greetings and love to everybody. So I'm here to address the Tobago Carnival and what has been happening behind the scenes. Now, I know folks on the outside don't really know the extent of disrespect and disregard for Tobago creatives during the process of this Tobago Carnival. At first I say, boy, I'm not gonna say nothing. I'm not gonna say a word, because, you know, victimization is real, and boy, I rather just do my thing and create my own lane and say nothing. But people real hurting off of this Carnival, boy, off of this so-called Tobago Carnival. Remember, we are your children. It is extremely disrespectful when you bring creatives here who are not from here to do a job or to do multiple jobs that we can do. For example, the Tobago Soca Monarch, the Tobago Calypso Monarch, all the other fetes, you're feeding them and you're leaving we hungry. That is all I'm saying. Nothing is wrong with people coming here and taking part in the festivities and making a living. Nothing is wrong with that. But when your own children who live here are suffering, there's a problem. And you cannot go public and say Tobago Carnival is a success when the creatives have suffered because of you. I want you to hold yourself responsible for what you are doing. Please, from the musicians to the designers to the chefs to the dancers to the whole creative sector, everybody is complaining. And they are afraid to come out and speak because they might lose their job, they might be victimized. So I say, okay, here's what. I just create my own lane, regardless. So you know what? I will say something. I'm not here to bash any of you all. You all are human beings. You all are brothers and sisters. Just like me, we breathe the same air, we bleed the same way, and we're gonna die the same way. We all equal. So I'm asking, please, know what all you're doing away. Like, this is not a game. People literally are suffering. Like, your children are suffering. Pay attention to your home. Pay attention to what is going on in your yard. Be aware of what you are doing. Yeah? So, we have 12 months for the next Carnival. Use this time to campaign as if you all were going up for an election. Seek the best musicians in every village, the best dancers, the best designers, the best chefs, the best creatives, from the youngest to the oldest. Go on a campaign. Use some of that money to really invest in Tobago. Because it's not a show. It's not, hey, pictures look good on feathers and bikini. Oh, Tobago Carnival was nice. No, stop lying. I just want all you to do the right thing, boy. Do the right thing, because if it continues at this rate, our children will feel it the most. I'm not going to sit here and watch you all squander millions of dollars again. No, I am calm this time. Cool. 12 months. Well, 12 months. Let me fix this. 12 months.
I don't come to I don't come to.
Wow. And that is a young man who is one of the foremost creatives on the island, and businessman and everything, and can be considered well respected in terms of what he has contributed to developing culture and so on the island. Actually, tonight even I know that his group is performing in Castara as we speak.
Excellent.
If I'm not mistaken, he's supposed to be on the Tobago Updates program tomorrow as well. And we heard it from his voice, and it's important for persons to understand that this is not the minority leader or the minority councillor, and we're saying here and making up stuff. These are the people who have been affected negatively. And indeed, when you listen to the things that he has been saying, or he said in that live, they are feeling the pain as well, the creatives.
And you know, I want to congratulate persons, especially stakeholders, Tobago-based stakeholders, who, you know, were very honest in their assessment of how this carnival affected them. And you saw persons where, albeit performers, soca artists, mass band leaders, persons from all walks of life within the carnival fraternity, coming forward and says, you know, we all endorse this thing that is the Tobago Carnival. We believe there's potential, and we know that, yes, people came. But at the end of the day, we who would have hoped to benefit in a significant way, we did not see the kind of benefits being accrued. And if we are putting on a festival where we are spending almost $17.5 million, you would hope that Tobagonians at the end of the day win, and Tobagonians at the end of the day benefit. And one of my greatest disappointments with this carnival, there are many things to take away from it that was good, but one of my disappointments is that when you look at the sector and the major players and the major stakeholders, they are the ones that were left worse off than they were before. The Tobago promoters, most of the fets that they had didn't but they basically bust. So they didn't make no money. When you look at the Tobago mass band leaders in a real sense, the indigenous mass band leaders, those like we had a Miss Ned and all those persons, their bands were undersubscribed, so they bust. They didn't make no money. When you look at our soca artists, the ones who believe that, you know, this would have been their time to shine, they were underbooked. I mean, kudos to, of course, our shining light, Adana, and we had a young fella coming out, Tam Tam. But outside of those two, no Tobago artists really benefited in no major way. Most of the fets were booked out by persons outside of Tobago, so they didn't see the kind of benefits either. When you look at our Calypsonians, I mean, and even our the juniors, they didn't have any real opportunity to showcase their talent. So this carnival, there's a lot, as Jamal, Mr. Kalen properly put it, you all have a year to plan and ensure that we can fill these gaps and ensure that Tobagonians benefit going forward.
Exactly. We have to sit back now and look and see what is going to come out of it.
So it is good, yes, to take the positives, and where there are positives, you take commendations. But it would be naive to believe that this carnival was such a success that there are nothing to fix, that there is nothing to treat with. If you take that position, I guarantee you, we are going to really feel the effects of the poor management that was done before, because there were a number of issues.
Yeah, a number. I even want to highlight, even for this show with Tomac, one of our true son of the soil, one of the major artists in Tobago, Mr. Edwards, who was carded to perform on the night, did not even get to hit the stage.
And that is a big disappointment, because that is a platform, and he's a talented young man. You would want a platform like that to showcase such a talent. You don't know who is there,
and he was booked
and could
to
have
perform.
seen him, and perhaps that could have been his opportunity, you know, to get his break. So when we miss these opportunities after investing so much money, you know, you have to ask yourself the question whether we are really getting value for money, and whether these investments are well thought out.
Yeah, definitely. So folks, I mean, we are almost to the end of this evening's program. A very somber mood in studio.
No, it is tough, and I cannot come here and be all happy and energetic when I've been dealing for the past 3 days or so with persons crying out about not being paid. And I don't know about those in the administration, but I cannot feel comfortable knowing that I was paid, and those persons who are at the lowest strata of our income bracket, who are working hard, especially, you know, we talk about URP and we see their works all over Tobago. They are out there working hard, making the sacrifices, and when time for them to be paid, they now cannot be paid on time. They have to be waiting 2 and 3 fortnights. They have been hoodwinked. They have been told that they will be paid for sick leave, and they will be paid for things like holidays when we have national holidays, and they're not receiving those kind of benefits. So I cannot feel comfortable, I cannot feel happy tonight.
Yeah, definitely. So folks, I mean, we've been discussing some very, very important but disturbing issues here this evening. And I mean, yes, there are different times, as the minority leader said, that we would come and the program may be exciting and it may be jump up and fiery and so on. But there's a time and a season for everything, and tonight we saw it fit to really bring to Tobago the pain of many persons on the island right now. And
I want to say as well to Tobagonians, if you are feeling the pain, feel free to reach out. Feel free to reach out to us. There are many ways to reach out to us. I'll have Mr. David also put out those public numbers, but feel free to reach out so that we can represent your pain and have others understand what you are going through. Do not suffer your pain in silence, because when you stay in silence and you don't speak up or speak out, you know, your situation won't get resolved. Your situation won't get better. It is only through action we are able to change, have this administration change their ways. It is only through action and through us really voicing collectively our struggles and our challenges and our suffering that we would get this administration to understand what you are doing. You are hurting Tobagonians, and Tobagonians are hurting at this time. So yes, you may feel because you're throwing fetes and because you are going on spending sprees and joyrides all over that you are having a good time. But while you are doing that, Tobagonians are here feeling the pain.
And we end on that note this evening. Thank you very much, Minority Leader. Folks, we want to say thank you for viewing with us this evening, for sharing your comments on the live, and for the general support that the Minority Report as a program has been receiving over the last months. I want to encourage you to really continue supporting this program and supporting the Minority Leader and Councillor in the efforts being executed to hold up or to hold fast to the mandate, to hold this administration accountable and to present the facts to the public, create that awareness, but also to represent all of Tobago and Tobagonians, and even those who may think that they don't need this voice. I've heard and I've seen many persons who months ago felt that they don't want to hear, we don't want to listen. Many of them have now turned around and have been lifting up their voices in pain.
Well, at the end of the day, I want to be a voice of truth. I want to be a voice of the people. I don't want to be a voice that would just come to play petty politics or just say things I believe people want to hear. When I put information out there, I want it to know that it's meaningful, it's impactful, it is real. And when you quantify our URP, I believe we have over about 500 URP workers. And when you don't pay 500 URP workers, you're really also treating with 500 Tobago families. And when you quantify, a family might be about, on average, 4 to 5 persons. You are really dealing with the lives of over 2,500 Tobagonians. And this is why this matter is one that is hurtful. This is why this matter is one that I would continue to speak about. And this is one matter I believe that should be resolved urgently to ensure that we at least satisfy these poor people. These are poor Tobagonians who depend on their salaries, whose children depend on their salaries. And therefore, I find it quite heartless that they have to be begging for their salaries at this time. So folks, I would like to close on this note, but I want us to continue to be our brother's keeper. If we know somebody who is working at URP because they have not been paid, let us look out for them, what we can give at this time, because many of them, I know for a fact, is without any groceries and without anything to eat. So let us look out for them, and however we can help, we will try to help at the Office of the Minority. So have a good night, folks. Continue to serve you, continue to speak on behalf of you. We love you dearly, and we'll continue to go about the business of representing you without fear or favor, malice or ill will to no one. Good night.
And for those of you who need to reach out, you can contact the Office of the Minority Leader at 612-9492, 612-9492, and you can present your case or your matter and reach out, and let's see how best we can assist going forward. So folks, I want to thank you for viewing this evening, the Minority Report. I'm Marlon David, and we are saying good night, stay blessed, and let's be our brother's keeper. Have a good evening.